Alrighty, so we are live here. So it's Wednesday, it's June 19th. So welcome to this workshop. So this is the workshop number 6. Um, by the way, just so you know, so this is being recorded. So after the session that will last 1 hour, you can watch or rewatch the session if you wish. Also, as I mentioned, this is the sixth workshop. So all the previous workshops have been recorded as well. So they are available either on our LinkedIn and also on our YouTube channel. So if you are interested to check out what we discussed in the previous sessions, please feel free to do so. Of course, I'm going to also cover some of the topics that I covered previously as well in the previous sessions. All right. So all right, so there are some people that are still joining the session, but let's start with introductions for who don't know me. So I'm Jamil. I'm the Director of Product Operations here at BeetleWorks. I've been working in BeetleWorks for 11 years now, uh, and I have been working again as I worked previously as project manager, then customer success, then I evolved to being like a project manager team leads, customer success team lead, production team lead. Started working closely to our product, became the head of product, director of product, and now finally director of product and operations. So nice to meet you. All right, so to get things started, I have a quick presentation here with a few slides. Let me start sharing my screen. And by the way, so this presentation here is I'm not going to just read the slides. So it's just to guide us through the session. Okay. Also, I want to make the session as interactive as possible. So if you have any questions during this presentation, please send in the chat. All right. And oh, by the way, I forgot to mention. So I'm based in São Paulo, Brazil. What about you? If you want to share that with me in the chat, I would appreciate that. All right. So this is the quick presentation that I put together. I'm going to read just a few topics here so we can get things started. And let me just see a message from Aurora here on the chat. So my sound is on, but can't hear anything. So is there anyone else that's having issues with the audio? If so, can you please let me know in the chat? Uh, if not, I would recommend, Aurora, that you try to disconnect and reconnect again, if that's fine. All right. So in the meantime, uh, okay. So I write this up. How Bureaus can make content translation fun and productive. I'm going to speak more about that in a few minutes. And welcome, Jota from Mexico. Cool. And for us as a company, as a tech company, one thing that's important, let me just start the presentation so you can see like this better. So the way that we are implementing AI is it reflects this paragraph here. So it is not about replacing humans with AI, but about learning how to use the tools we have at our disposal to make humans even more efficient at what they do. So again, AI is a tool. So AI is not a replacer, is not a translator, is not a reviewer. It's just a tool that we are giving you and to other people so they can make sure that they are focusing on the right things and letting AI do the job that are not so important or that are just taking time from you. So for instance, instead of like spending time fixing tags throughout a file that has numeral tags, why not let AI do that? And you can focus, okay, so how is the tone, how is the terminology, how is the flowing of the translation. So all those things that are more important for the end user, that you as a professional translator will the best person to do, will be the one responsible for that in AI. Let's say I do again this job of finding missing commas and missing periods in the text, finding terminology mistakes, finding something that AI could fix for you, and then you can focus on what really matters for the content that you are translating. All right. So welcome, Danielle. Danielle Olson from Brazil. Cool. Very cool. All right, so next slide is the agenda. Again, as I want to make this as interactive as possible, if you have questions during the session, or if you do have different subjects that I'm not mentioning here, if you put in the chat, I can try to address those in the session or maybe in the next session. But so those are the topics that I probably going to cover today. So creating your account in VideoWorks, um, by the way, you probably can see on the screen the website link, so videoworks.com/sign up. So I'm going to show you in a second. Then creating the initial setup of your account, creating our first project, top questions of the week. So I brought some questions that I received from our support team, and also some questions that people shared right before the session. So I'm also going to talk about that. And then if you have time, I'm going to cover translation with VideoWorks. So either way, I'm probably going to cover that because some of these questions will touch on that point. But let's see how deep you can get on that. All right. And again, if you have suggestions or questions, you can send the chat. Okay. All right. So um, let's start in here. Let me just stop presenting so I can go to our website. So that's the first topic, how you will create your account. So assuming that you don't have yet, right? Assuming that you are not testing the platform yet. So you go to videoworks.com/pricing. You have the both yearly and monthly plans. Most importantly, if you are a translator, you're going to probably select the solo, which includes just one seat. Or if you are a translation agency that you want to test the platform, you have to check which of those will probably attend better to your use case. So we have, for instance, boutique that has 10 seats included, and you can buy additional 30 seats, up to 30 seats. And the clockwork, which includes in this pricing here, 50 seats, and you can go up to 150 seats, okay? But as a translator, so you can just scroll down, click on Get Started for free. Before I do that, so as you can see on the screen, but I'm going to show you here as well. So there is a free trial for 14 days. So no credit card required. So basically, once you scroll down here to this, I'm going to again select the solo one, assuming that most of the people in the room are translators. I'm just going to enter my name, email, and click on Get Started. So that will trigger an email message to my inbox. In that email message, you can set up your password and then access your account in VideoWorks. All right. Again, 14 days free trial, no credit card required. If you do want to subscribe after testing out the platform, then you can add up your credit card to your account to the platform and pay for the monthly or yearly subscription. All right. Okay, so that was the first topic. The second topic is how you set up your account. Okay, so you just received the email, you just set up your password. Now you got into VideoWorks. That will be your home screen. By the way, of course, this is a demo environment, so none of those are actual projects. And your dashboard will empty, of course, because there will be nothing there. But just so you know that mine have a lot of things because I may use this for other demo sessions as well. Okay. Anyways, so uh, before I show you how to create a project, let's just do the basic setup for your account. All right. So for that, I have to explain some concepts real quick. So first concept is the concept of organizations and organizational units. Um, Let me open here this hierarchy view so I can try to explain that better. All right. Okay, so atop you have your own accounts that you only, and people that you invite to your account to have access to. Down below, you have the second layer, which is called organization, and then finally the final layer, which is called organizational unit. How does that work? So that's flexible. I'm going to share with you the most common scenario. So as a translator, you have your own account. That's again the top the hierarchy view here. In the middle, you have your clients. So let's say that your client is, I don't know, Beetleworks. So the organization will be Beetleworks. So we're going to register an organization called Beetleworks. And then as organization unit, if Beetleworks has like, I don't know, different departments, different content types, so legal, medical, documentation, training, websites, etc., 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 and those maybe have different translation memories and glossaries, you can set up all those as organizational units. So those will be organization units from Beetleworks that belong to the organization Beetleworks. And then if you have, of course, multiple clients, you can do the same. So you can have another organization here on this structure for clients ABC. And then down below as organizational units, you can have all the departments for that client. And of course, if your client don't have like multiple department, or maybe does not make sense for you um, to create like multiple departments for them because maybe they use the same translation memories and glossary, that's totally fine. You can create just like I did here. So we have this BWX training organization, and I have just one BWX training unit. So again, if I don't have like I don't have or I don't want to split in department or content type, that's fine. I can just create like this. So again, it's more flexible than that. There are other options, but just share with you like the most common scenarios when it comes to creating this organization/organization. So all that to mention that when you create your account in Beetleworks, that will be created automatically. The platform will create one organization and one organization for you. So you don't, right off the bat, you don't have to worry about that. So you can, I just explained to you so you can understand how that works if you want to create additional ones. But right off the bat, you already have one at least. So you can start creating your projects. Second thing that's also important, that's also created automatically, is one translation memory, one glossary. So you can see here, you create, this was the one that was created automatically, the WX training TM. As default, when we create the translation memory and the glossary, the source language will be English US, and target language will be some of those languages in here. If you're going to translate into different languages, you can either create a new translation memory, click on this button, or just open up this one, assuming that the source language is still English US. You can go to Actions, Edit it, and then change it up as you need. So I can delete all the target language and just add the one that I want to use, or I can add more languages here if necessary. The glossary is the same concept. We create one automatically. If the languages, if there are missing languages, you can just edit and add those languages as well. Okay. Okay. So that's that. Next step, you go to the organizational units. You go to context. Under context, so let me just delete this so you can see that from the beginning. So let me delete those and those. Okay. So when you access the platform, it will be like this. So you have one translation memory, one glossary created. but we are not automatically associating that with the organizational units, right? So you have to do that. So again, my recommendation, so you can start creating your project as quickly as possible, you start using the organization and organization unit that have been automatically created. And then if you need to create more, that I also recommend, so you can test the platform as a whole, do that later, right? Because you can go create a project like real fast if you do that. If you focus on creating everything, like a lot of organization units, maybe you get frustrated because that may be time consuming for you. So that would be my recommendation. Okay, so you exit the platform, you go straight to organization units, you click on ads, you have this one that will be automatically created. Important, again, check if the source and target languages are accordingly to the ones that you're going to use in the project that you will create. In my case, it is. So I'm going to click on ads. Then I will set this as default, reads, and writes. Okay. You don't need to do that. You can change it up as you want. So that's the standard, right? So that's default means that every time that I create a project under this organization unit, it is going to be used as a default translation memory. Read and write. So read, I can see the suggestion in the editor. Write, I can write content in the translation memory as soon as I confirm a segment. Okay. Any questions so far? If so, please send it in the chat. The same process, glossary. I just select this glossary. Again, in my case, the language that I'm going to choose is already here. So if it was not, I could go to the glossary from here, for instance, and edit it, excuse me, and edit it here and add the languages that are missing, okay? Cool, okay, so with that set up, next step would be setting up if you want to use, which I would recommend, but it's not a requirement, enabling this augmented translation action. So basically the AI, so the one that you probably see like on our posts on LinkedIn, so you see on maybe our demo sessions. So this is what this is about. So augmented translation actions, AI, per se. So by default, it is not activated, okay? So by default, it will be like this, and you decide if you want to activate it. Again, I would recommend, so you can test it out, especially if you're not going to, you're not being charged for it, you don't have, if you are not happy with the AI, you can deactivate that at any given point in time. But I would recommend that you activate it so you can understand how that works and to see if that's going to be helpful for you. All right. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I have to type this text in here, and then I'm going to click on accept. That will enable it. And that's that. All right. Now, finally, I can go and create a project. I can do that from here, from Projects tab, New Project, or I can go to Home, Start a New Project. Either way, is going to do the same trick. Let me just find a file here in my computer, which I have in this sample documents. I'm going to upload this and this and this as well. So a lot of files, different file formats, an SRT, a strings, a text, an Excel, and a Word document. Okay. So again, I have just one organization unit. If I had multiple, I would have to select which one I want to use to create this project. Contact person, that will be myself in this case. It could be your client if you register your client in the platform. Project name, so this would be workshop 6. To keep it simple, I'm just going to keep just Portuguese because it's my mother tongue, and maybe Spanish. And if you want to see different languages, you can tell me in the chat. I can show you like examples about like how can we how the editor behaves with different languages and the AI as well. Okay, let me continue here. Okay, again, to keep it simple, I'm going to remove all the workflow steps, just keep one translation. I could add others, so there are quite a lot in here in the list. But to keep it simple, I'm just going to have translation in two languages, and that's it. So the project will run this automation, which will process the files. Um, then what happened is, I don't know if you had time to see it. Let me just also zoom in here. So there's this project automation that have been finished. What that does, so it is going to, as soon as the files get processed, it is going to create the log file. So calculate the number of words. So in here, so for all those files for these two languages in my example, and then calculate against a price list to give you a cost, right? So that's the automation that happens. By the way, this is a dummy price list, okay? So if you have an actual price list, that can certainly be set up in the platform. So you can have the costs automatically calculated accordingly to the price list agreed with your clients, okay? But again, for the sake of the session, this is just a dummy price list. All right, so now next step. The project changed from automatic as well, from draft to pending. So draft means I'm working on the code, I'm preparing the code. When I change, again, through the automation or going out manually here and click on the draft button that was available previously, I'm turning from draft into pending, which means, okay, the code is ready. So I'm sending this to someone, most likely my client, who is going to review the code and then approve it, right? So that's the pending step. So I'm waiting for approval. If your client is also registered in your account in the platform, they can go in here and they can approve the project. If not, for instance, let's say that you have your own account, so you're a solo user, and you sent maybe a PDF in here for your clients with the cost, and they responded your email with the approval, you can go in here and click and approve the project. Before I do that, just one quick thing that's important. Once I do that, another automation is going to run, which will be the pre-translation of the content. So before I do that, let me just show you this, all right, which can also be set up at the organizational unit level. But basically, I can set up how I want, I can say how I want that to be pre-translated, all right? So um, in my example, I have pre-translation with translation memory and machine translation. So what's going to happen here, everything that's from 100% or 101% will be pre-translated from the translation memory. Everything else is going to be pre-translated with machine translation. I can change this. I want to translate everything that 80% match or above with translation memory and everything else with machine translation. In my example, I'm probably going to keep 100%, and also I'm going to deactivate the machine translation, and I will show in a minute why. So I'm not going to pre-translate with machine translation. So everything that is not 100 or 101 or context match from translation memory will not be pre-translated. Okay, no, we're not going to populate a second. So everything else is going to be empty. And I'm also going to confirm and lock segments that are 100 and 101% segments. All right. And by the way, so you don't have to do that every time that you are creating a project. So to simplify, you can go again to the organization units. All the settings in here can be set up in there. So if I change that in here, for instance, like this, so now from now on, every project that I create is going to follow this rule. And of course, I can override that at the project level as well. The same applies for translation memory, glossaries, which I also forgot to put as default, and source and target language. So again, if you are using a platform and you translate maybe just from English into French France, let's just keep that. So you don't have to, again, remove a language and add language from the list. You can have that added automatically for you. Okay. All right. Before I keep going, let me see a question from our audience here. Is it possible to import, export memories in TMX? Yes, that's possible. Let me just go to this other tab. You go to context, translation memories. I'm going to open this one and you click on export. So it's going to export. The format will be TMX, as you mentioned. And also you can do the same for glossaries in here. So for glossary, you can export the standard, which is TBX. You can also export like these other formats in here. All right. So those are the options we have. So yeah, yes, they can be exported and they can also be imported. So TBX and TMX can be exported, it can be imported back into VideoWorks. Okay. All right. I hope that responds to your question. If you have additional questions, please keep sending the chat. I'm going to pause and try to respond them as we go. All right. So let me start responding to one of the questions that I received previously that was asking about subtitling, because I created a project with on purpose that has this SRT file. So the question was, is it possible to see subtitles in the editor? The answer is yes. And let me show you how to do it. So first thing, I have to have this SRT file, which is the standard format for subtitles, right? Which has time coding and everything. And then I go to reference files, media files. I'm going to select the file that I'm going to associate with a video. In this case, in my example, this House of the Dragon, by the way, which is a great series. I don't know if you like it, but I do like that. And I have here the SRT and the MP4 file. So what I'm going to do here is to associate one with the other. Okay, so it is done. So now I associated this MP4 file, the video, with the SRT, which is in here in my project. And now I'm going to open the translation editor and show you how that works. Okay, so again, this is a SRT file, which has like the content and the timing here. And now I can, let me just expand this a little bit more. Go to change on this button here down below, video preview. I click on this preview button to update it. And now I can play this. By the way, let me just, okay. Cool. Okay, so now how that works. So you can see in real time here, the subtitles. I hope you can see it on your end too. And now if I start translating the content, let me go to a segment, maybe in here. Maybe change it. I'm going to apply this. And I'm going to apply this. All right. Another one. This. Okay, so let me pause this video for a second. Whenever I click on a given segment, it is going to show me, it's going to show the exact frame where is that translation. So in this case, segment number 40 has this will be challenged. So it is going to direct me directly to that particular part of the video. If I want to see the translation, I can click on preview again. That's going to update that. And then you can see the translation like this, all right? Okay, so that's that. Let me see a question from Daniel. Are there shortcuts for subtitling comments like forge, one frame, adjust timing to cursor, etc.? Not really. We are always improving all the features we have that we currently don't have. Another thing that we don't have in the editor, just to make it clear, you cannot edit the time coding in the SRT file. So the SRT file, it needs to have already need to be already synced well with the video, because you can't edit it in the translation editor, just because it's like it is seen simple because it is like a text like this, right? But it is pretty complex. So basically, this is going to require us to create a new tool that would allow us to edit like the time coding, etc. So that's something that we are not currently exploring. We may explore that in the future. But to your question, no, there are no shortcuts that can help you currently to go forward or to adjust the timing or anything in the video subtitle. So you have to do that manually. All right. Any other questions on video subtitling? If so, please send the chat. In the meantime, let's take advantage that I have the editor open. Let me just hide this preview for the time being, so you have like more space on the screen. And before I proceed, let me just do a quick check in here, because, okay, it seems that my AI is not activated. Give me just a quick second. I probably deactivate that when oh, there we go. All right, that's why. Okay, so let me refresh this page and click on any segment. Okay, so now we can start translating the content in the editor. And so that was my goal. So setup. So quick recap. You create your accounts, you access your account from the home screen. Translation memory, a translation memory, a glossary will be created with some default languages. It's important that you just have a quick look to check if the language that you're going to be using are part of that translation memory and glossary that are automatically created. Then next step, you go to the organization units, where you can make sure that you're going to add in the translation memory and glossary that you're going to be using, marking the full read and write. Again, if that's the case, same for glossary. From here, you can also, again, make other changes. You can set up how you want to produce the content for our projects in these org units. You can set up languages. So those items are like small, but can be really helpful if you're going to create like multiple projects to test the platform, which again, I also recommend. From here, you can go to new project and upload files, give a name to the project, and proceed with all the next steps. Projects created, you calculate the cost based on the price list. There is a default price list in the system. Again, you can set up your own, but for the sake of the session, we are using a system default, which is also going to be available for you. So again, you don't have to right off the bat lose time, spend time creating a price list. Okay. Cost calculated, you approve the project, and you can go to the editor and start translating the content, right? So I opened just one file. Let me open multiple files so you can see it. So all these are the same language. So all those files are in Spanish Mexico. Let me, again, I select all those files in the same workflow step, of course. I'm going to click on Join in Editor, and then I can move along. And as I go, let me go to the end of this file. All right, so 100 segments, and then next one, and then next one, and so on and on and on, okay? So that's what we call joined files. And when it comes to translating content, as you saw, whenever I click on a segment, there will be like this context-sensitive translation suggestion, which I'm going to talk about in a few moments. Before that, let's switch gear for a little bit. I'm going to cover some of the questions that I received previously or that you shared right before the session. So the first one was a question that I received in the previous session that I did not have time to answer it. So it was from Sylvia. The supported file formats in BetaWorks. So in BetaWorks, we have this help center, which you can also access from Basics Help Center down below in here. Documentation, Basics Help Center. And then supported file form, supported and unsupported file extension. So you can see all the extensions that are supported. So quite a lot. So the most common in here, CSV, all the variants of docx, HTML, EDML, JS, JSON, what else? PowerPoints, properties, strings, XLIF, and variants of XLIF, Excel, XML, and some others. And also unsupported. For all the unsupported extensions, we also going to, we're also trying to share with you like some suggestions on how you can handle that. For instance, doc version, which is a older version of docx, can be converted into docx, so to Word document. The same for Excel and PowerPoint. So there's older versions. PDF is. I also have a question about PDF. PDF is non-editable, so you have to convert that either to a docx, so a Word document, or a PowerPoint, so you can make that content editable and translated. That said, if the PDF has content that have been scanned, it is possible that you're not going to be able to convert from PDF into docx or PowerPoint. So if that's the case, again, if the document is scanned in PDF format or even Word document format, most likely transcription would be needed. Okay, so you have to transcribe the content from that scanned PDF. So then you can translate the content. All right. And then again, as I mentioned, there are other formats here that are not supported, but there are suggestions here on how to handle those. Okay. That was the first question, and I've also responded another one related to PDFs. How to fix tags. How to fix tags. There we have this in the editor. Let me just find one of those files to probably have a lot of tags. I think that's the second one, this one. Okay, so how BetaWorks handle tags. So let me click on this one, which has 3 tags, right? So tags, if you're not familiar with that, are those placeholders. So placeholders that should not be translated, should not be edited, should not be deleted. All right. So especially when it comes to like files that are from applications or for other type of content, that can break the most likely for applications that can break the code. So for instance, if I delete a tag in here and I deliver this file to my client, chances are that the file is not going to be imported properly, and the application is not going to work properly. So, so that's why tags should be kept as they are, unless you know exactly what you are doing. For instance, there are tags that are bold or italic or something like that, right? Just like formatting tags, and maybe a bold tag is not applicable in your language. If that's the case, that should be fine. You can delete the tag from the content, but all tags that are placeholders usually are not recommended to be touched. So all that to say that you should not miss tags. So the platform, if I try to confirm the segment, will warn me that there are segments matching here. So I can either ignore that. I can click on the green check mark, or I can click on this one and say, okay, let me fix that. So how you fix that these days, or maybe in the past? In the past, you're going to probably go in here and drag and drop tags. So in the right place in the target. So that was what people were doing previously. Now you can just go in here. Again, if you activated the AI the augmented actions, you can click on fix tags. That will happen. So they will put the tags in the right place, and which can vary, of course, depending on the target language. So AI does that for you again. So that's what I meant at the beginning of the session. So in my point of view, so I can let AI do this job here, and I can focus on like how the target audience is understanding the translation, how is the tone, so how is the fluency and everything else, right? Let me respond to another question from the chat from Aurora. Is it possible for several translators to work simultaneously in a same file project? In the same project, yes. If there are multiple files in the same file, that's not possible if they're working in the same workflow step. So for instance, my project here, right? So I have, let me just have just one language, keep it just Spanish, right? So if I have like one file, this one, the first one, just an Excel file, and just one workflow step, I can only assign one person. If I have an Excel file and two workflow steps, maybe translation and review, I can assign one person to translation, other one to review, and so on. So if you have multiple workflow steps, you can assign same different people to the same file. That's one thing. If you have multiple files, of course, you can assign people one to this file, another one to this file, and so on. And if you have multiple files and workflow steps, you can assign different people as you want to files and workflow steps. All right. But to one file and one workflow step, that's not possible currently. So one thing that is part of that's a good question because this is remembered about something. So as part of our roadmap, most likely for Q4 this year, we'll have the ability to split files. So basically, I have this Excel file. Let me open it up to see number of words, 41 words. Okay, this is a small one. But let's say that it has 4,000 words. So, and I want to, because there are so much content in there, I just have like one day to deliver the content. I have to place that to different translators, right? At least two. So the idea would be to have select this file. You can select how you want to split that file. Okay, I want to split this in two pieces, so 2,000 words, and then I can assign the same file, different parts of the same file to different people. So that's part of our roadmap, but currently that's not possible. Currently, you can do, as I mentioned, either different files or different workflow steps. Okay. And please keep going in the questions in the chat if you have additional questions about this topic or other topics. Happy to respond to those questions. All right. Okay. So tags again, we just covered this. Shortcuts. So my friend Daniel was asking about that. When it comes to the video subtitling, currently there are no shortcuts, but there are quite a lot of other shortcuts to move from segments, to add tags to segments, to add non-breakable spaces, and so on, or even to use AI. So to access that, on top right, you have this help button, this question mark here. You can click in there, and you can see all the shortcuts that are available for you. Excuse me. And oh, by the way, before I forgot, so I'm using a Mac, so that's why these shortcuts are showing like this commands key in here instead of like maybe the control. But if you a Windows user, the platform will understand that automatically adjust that for Windows shortcuts. Okay. Next up, why the CS translation is good in some segments and bad at some others. So that's a tricky question, but I can share with you like something about it. So the most important thing is for you to understand the concept and how all this works together. So for that, I have another slide here. I can bring it up. I have two actually. So let me start again real quick. I promise the presentation so I can explain you better. So We have in here machine translation, we have a glossary, we have translation memory. All this, along with large language models, we generate this what we call CS, or context sensitive translation. So it is indeed a context sensitive because we are providing translation memory, suggestions, glossary suggestion, machine translation suggestions, and other contexts, additional contexts. For instance, previous segment, next segment, previous translation that maybe are not like an exact match, and so on. So provide a lot of context to, of course, contextualize the AI. So AI can merge, can mash all that together and provide you with a translation that's most likely to be used by you for that particular set, right? So that's the first concept. Now, so this is more complex. I'm not going to touch this on real deep, but so this is everything that happens on the back end. So we have the source text. We send this to API, which is like a channel, a tunnel. All the content is encrypted, by the way. That then we have this retrieval query. We have the work units, which are also tasks in my example that I mentioned. So a file with a file or workflow and a language combination constitutes a work unit. Machine translation, translation memories, glossaries, and preference. This is all the knowledge base. You retrieve this context, it is rank the suggestions, send to large language model, receive something back, add some format filtering, and then send you back to translate text. So all this happens in the background. But the important thing is the mechanism. The mechanism, as I mentioned, it depends on translation memory, glossaries, and machine translation suggestions, all right? With that in mind, it's important that you understand, for instance, you just subscribe to the platform. So, excuse me, you just start your trial in the platform, or maybe you're a subscriber already. Okay, you don't have translation memory yet, maybe. You don't have a glossary yet, maybe, right? So what you have a machine translation suggestion here. If you activate that, of course, that's also you can deactivate the machine translation. By the way, that's also included either in the trial, also in the subscription. We offer as the full Microsoft Azure. I'm showing DPL because I'm using the demo environment, but in the production environment, the one we will be testing the platform and hopefully subscribing to it, we offer Microsoft Azure as machine translation provider. And of course, if you have your own subscription to any other providers of machine translation, you can add to your account in BitOrworks, okay? So again, I just started my trial. I don't have a translation memory, I don't have a glossary. I mean, I have, but I don't have content on those. Okay, so what I have my machine translation suggestions. Okay, that's going to be provided to the large language model. A large language model try to provide you with a suggestion that makes sense in that context, so you can use it or not. Okay, so I received a translation suggestion here. By the way, so I'm going to make changes here. I don't speak fluently Spanish, so I'm going to just delete something or change to something else that does not make sense. But please, it's just for the sake of the demonstration. Okay. All right. So let's say that I'm going to remove something here. So anuncios should be kept in English. Okay. So that's what my client told me. Okay. So there are two ways that I can do that. So first thing, of course, I had to add to my text, right? I had to fix the suggestion that I received from DPL. That's one thing, right? But another thing that I can do is to click in here, click on add term, and say, okay, announcements should be announcements, should not be translated. Okay, now, other than the machine translation suggestion, I have a glossary suggestion here. Again, this also gives more context to AI. Now, when I confirm the segments, next time I have a segment that's similar to this one, or which has announcements, AI will know that, okay, announcements should be used because that's the glossary. And also, we have an idea on how you would like that to be translated, right? Or the ideal way that should be translated. And AI is learning from you. So, all that to say two things. So, first thing is that, again, AI is learning for you. So, as you go, as you use it, AI is going to improve over time by adding content to the glossary, by adding content to translation memory. Most important, first thing, don't get frustrated right off the bat. The first few suggestions from AI, if you don't have glossary translation memory, will not be good. To be completely transparent with you, probably not be good. So you're probably not going to say, okay, so that's perfect. No, you're going to probably change a lot of things in here. I don't like this, I don't like that, that does not make sense. Okay, change that. Change that, confirm the segment that's automatically teach AI through translation memory. If there are key terms in here, also make sure to add those to the glossary so you guide AI as well on uh, the next segments that have the same terms or the same context. All right. So AI is learning right away from you because as soon as you confirm the segment, it gets stored in the translation memory. As soon as you add something up to the glossary, that's going to be shown in here, like in this segment as I just showed previously, right? Now AI is learning for you. And of course, there are quite a lot of different contexts. So I add one term here, I confirm like three segments. That's not enough, right? So over time, as you go through more and more segments, more and more different contexts, AI is going to learn more from you, and suggestions will be closer to what you, as a professional translator, understand that's better, that's good, that's great, that's good enough, right? Again, that does not mean that AI will get to a point that it is you. So still, from time to time, you're going to make more changes or fewer changes to different segments, right? But that's what I want to share with you about AI. Don't get frustrated right off the bat because it is learning from you. And the more important for you is to understand the concept and the mechanism. The mechanism of learning is through machine translation memory and glossary machine translation too, but machine translation is like static, right? Translation memories and glossary depends on your input, right? And what's already in the translation memories and glossary. So also, if the translation memory and glossary quality is not good, that's also going to impact the suggestions from the AI for you. Okay, so that's the concept that I want to keep in mind, so you know how to handle that. Again, right off the bat, probably you're not going to get good translations. Over time, that's going to improve, and you're going to feel more you, right? And then you're going to feel that AI is helpful for your job, for what you are doing. Still, you are the final decision maker, so if you decide at some point that no, I don't want to use AI because I have spent like so much time on this and it's still not as good, that's fine. You can deactivate that from to the entire account, or also in the editor you can have like from this tab the second to last settings. You can disable maybe not everything, maybe something like maybe just the context sensitive, and keep the smells, keep the spell checker, and so on, or keep everything up, or even deactivate everything. Okay. Alrighty. So I covered this last session, the last question. I have time for maybe one or two more questions. If you have questions, please send in the chat. If not, I'm going to cover another one here that I received right before the session. So I'm going to cover two. Can I open Studio, excuse me, Studio Trados packages, not the package directly? Hey, Gabriel, good to see you here. Good to have you here, always. So status package. Um, The Trados package directly, you can't, but if you export like an XLIF file or an XML file, like which are pretty standard formats, that can be imported into BuildWorks. again, not directly the Trados Studio package, but those file formats that are pretty standard. So you should be able to export those in these formats. All right. That's one of the questions. I have another one in here. Oh, that's a big one. Um, how can I store and manage my translation memories and glossaries locally while working the translations on the online platform? Describe an efficient workflow. Okay, so um, I am understanding that your question is okay. So you have your account in here, you have your projects in here in the platform, and you have stored your translation memories and term base. So BetaWorks is cloud based 100%. So if you have translation memories or anything, any kind of assets offline or locally that can't be used by the platform, so we don't have, for instance, a desktop version of the platform. So everything is cloud-based. So if you do want to use translation memories and glossaries, you have to uh, either create a new one and import those, or import to the one that is automatically created by the platform, which I showed you previously how, right? By importing the file here. So I hope that responds to that question, if I understood it correctly. And any final questions before we wrap up the session? Any suggestions for maybe the next webinar, the next workshop, excuse me? By the way, I'm hosting this every Wednesday, so or every 2 Wednesdays. So I'm open to hear your comments, suggestions, anything that you want to share with me, so I can cover this in the follow-up sessions. If you don't have any other suggestions, I would like to see you in the next session because again, I'm going to cover different subjects. So I hope that can help you to learn more about the platform, that can make your trial more efficient, and you can hopefully subscribe to our platform as well. All right. Okay, so to wrap up, I have a last question here. There's one that's a small one. I get job announcements by mail, yet if I click on them within minutes, they are gone. What am I doing wrong? You are doing nothing wrong, but the way that our auto task placement works that is the first come first serve. So chances are that there are other translators that may be already logged into the platform and are being faster on accepting those tasks. So that's probably what's happening. So if you're receiving the email with this task, this job announcements, as you said, you have to access the platform as quickly as possible because there are other people that are also based on certain parameters eligible for those tasks that are accepting them before you. All right. But again, you are not doing nothing wrong. Okay, so I think that's all I had for today. And again, I hope to see you in the next session. So most likely next Wednesday, we're going to send, of course, an email to everyone beforehand, so you know when that's going to happen, what time is going to happen. And if you have suggestions, if you have questions as well, please send again. And right before the session, I'm going to send a link so you can ask questions, and I will try my best to respond to these questions during this session. All right. I'm happy to have you all here. Thank you for your time. It's always a pleasure. I hope we can make more and more of this. And again, please feel free to always reach out to me if you have questions. Let's keep this fun. Let's make sure that you are engaging, you have your questions answered, and that the time that you spend testing the platform will be um, helpful for you to understand how everything works And I hope that I could share something with you that's going to help you with the test of the platform. And again, if you have questions, next session, I'm available. I'm happy to answer those. All right. So thank you everyone for your time. It was a pleasure. Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye bye.